Good morning. Welcome to the 23rd Annual Commemorative Veterans Day program. My name is Rachel Williford. I am the president of the Lafayette Women's Club. This program is sponsored by the LaFayette High School, the JROTC, and the Lafayette Women's Club. Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day on November the 11th, 1919, the first anniversary of the end of World War I. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual observance. In 1983, November the 11th became a national holiday, one that we still observe and remember today. I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of today's program. Please rise for the presentation of the colors by the JROTC Color Guard and the singing of the national anthem by Lafayette High School student Kaylee Howard.
Forward, march, out, 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 right, 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 out. March time, march, go, halt, center, face, reason, color.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, go. Right, face, forward, march.
Thank you, Kaylee. You may be seated. The invocation this morning is brought to you by Ben Jones. Mr. Jones is the Director of Children and Youth at Lafayette First United Methodist Church. Mr. Jones.
Let's pray. Dear Jesus, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who have answered the call to serve and protect our country. We thank you for the freedom you have given us through these brave men and women. We also remember the cost of that freedom. We thank you for those who have fought and those who continue to fight for our nation. We ask for your covering and blessing over them and their families. We pray that you would be gracious and surround them with your peace. Lord, bless all those who wear the uniform, who serve our cities, our nation, and the people of the nation. Lord, bless their families, bless those they love. Give them your favor this day and every day. Bless our time together this morning and those leading the program. Amen.
Thanks, Ben. The singing of America the Beautiful is performed by the Women's Trio of LaFayette High School. Ladies.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrims' feet, whose stern impassioned stress a thoroughfare of freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the east, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Here to recognize the significance of Veterans Day is Mayor Andy Arnold from the City of Lafayette and Commissioner Shannon Whitfield with Walker County Government.
You go first. First of all, that was beautiful, and I want to apologize right now to your ears and mine from having to listen to my voice from what you just listened to. Y'all know who I am. I'm Mayor Andy Arnold, and you know why I have on this knit cap, or in the South, I've always called it a toboggan, so that's what I'm going with today. It's an honor, as always, to be here and to recognize our veterans on the Veterans Day coming up. Whereas the citizens of our nation continue to live in freedom because of the contribution and sacrifices made by those who served in the armed forces of the United States in times of national peril. And whereas there are approximately 843 veterans who do live in the city by their continued devotion to the highest ideals of citizenship, constitute a foundation of both strength and progress of the city of LaFayette. And whereas it is a privilege and is the best interest of our city and the nation that we express our gratitude to the veterans whose sacrifices should serve as constant reminders of the high price of liberty. And whereas the General Assembly of Georgia has dedicated the 11th day of November of each year to the cause of world peace and has designated that date as a public and legal holiday known as Veterans Day. Further, I urge all the citizens of our city to remember the sacrifices and contributions of all of those who, when called upon to do so, served this nation honorably in wartime to preserve our heritage of freedom, to rededicate ourselves to the task of preserving world peace as the most profound reward we might bestow upon our veterans who have made and continue to make America number one. Now, therefore, I, Philip A. Arnold, Mayor of the City of LaFayette, do hereby recognize Wednesday, November the 11th, 2020, as Veterans Day in the City of LaFayette. Thank you.
Okay, it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today amongst so many of you that are the heroes of our community. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for allowing me a few moments of your time to speak, to present this proclamation from Walker County. By the sole commissioner of Walker County, Georgia, a proclamation of Veterans Day 2020. Whereas President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the first Veterans Day proclamation in 1954 and called upon the nation to solemnly remember the sacrifices of all of those who fought so valiantly on the sea, in the air, and on foreign shores to preserve our heritage of our freedom. Whereas since the dawn of this nation, veterans have defended our way of life with integrity and dedication. Whereas we are proud to honor all veterans for their service, sacrifice, and devotion, wish to extend the appreciation of our citizens to those who have worn the uniform of the United States of America. Whereas Walker County citizens have a rich heritage of celebrating service members by participating in events like the LaFayette Women's Club, Veterans Day program here at the LaFayette High School, and a tribute of America for Catoosa and Walker County at the Colonnade. Whereas over 4,200 Walker County residents devoted their talents to assist our country through military services. Therefore, I, Shannon K. Whitfield, the sole commissioner of Walker County, Georgia, do hereby proclaim November the 11th of 2020 to be observed as Veteran Day in Walker County, Georgia, in honor of our local veterans and in remembrance of those who devoted their lives to protect our freedom. I call upon the citizens to extend their gratitude and their unending support for many of our heroes here in Walker County. Thank you.
Performing once again, God Bless America, is the Women's Trio.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America,
Our speaker this morning is retired Lieutenant Colonel David L. Hartline from the United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Hartline was born in Cherokee County, Alabama. He was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1968. There, he trained as a paratrooper, pathfinder, recon scout, and jungle expert. He served in combat in Vietnam in 1968 and 69. He received 14 medals and was wounded twice. He served our country for over 23 years. Lieutenant Colonel Hartline has a college degree in education and psychology. He's worked as a college instructor, police officer, and a police chief. He has served as a military advisor to a U.S. Senator, named Alabama Veteran of the Year, received letters of appreciation from 3 presidents, and is a best-selling author of 3 books. Please join me in welcoming retired Lieutenant Colonel David L. Hartline of the United States Army.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. It is my privilege to be here today. It's like a homecoming of sorts for me. Back in the 80s, late 70s and 80s, I was an instructor at what was then Walker Tech for a number of years. And I got to know quite a few people here in this area. One of my best friends back then at that time, he is deceased now, but his name is Brian Hall Jackson. We actually came down here and visited the ROTC program a number of times. He was one of the founding sponsors, I believe, of the ROTC program. And also for the road dedication for General Griffith out here and leading to Naomi. So I am proud to be back here. I haven't been down here since they built the new high school, but it's very lovely and it's a nice building. I'd like to, at this time, to introduce my wife Pat. Pat and I have just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary. We exchanged our vows once again at the church at Faith Baptist Church at Watson's Crossroads down in Cherokee County. Pat and I met in unusual circumstances. She was a student nurse at Darnell Army Hospital in Fort Hood, Texas, and I was reassigned there after coming back from Vietnam. I had some problems or complications with some wounds that I had received, and so I was visiting the hospital there on several occasions, and that's how we met. And being a smooth talking devil from Cherokee County, Alabama, I talked her into coming back here. Pat has been a registered nurse and director of nurses at Chautauqua County Hospital and Nursing Home for 47 years now. And she still works part-time, and in fact, I don't want her to answer the phone because I know it's them calling her to come back into work. We have had a roller coaster, as you might suspect, of 50 years together, and it's been enjoyable, and I wouldn't want to do anything other than that. We have 4 children. They're all successful. All of them have college, have good careers now. We have 10 grandchildren and 14 great-grandchildren. So we have a large family, and we have to extend our house so we could entertain them during the times that they are there, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. We stayed on in Texas after my end of my first term of service so Pat could graduate from Texas University there, and they did their practical training there at Darnell Army Hospital. So I promised her I would go back to school. So when we came back to Alabama, she started putting the needles on me. So I began to go back to school at Gadsden State down in Gadsden, Alabama. And to help afford that education, Of course, I used my Army educational benefits. I drove the college bus to the school. I remained in the National Guard, and then I went to work as a police officer. And when I graduated from Gadsden State, they promoted me to chief of police. And after a while, I found out about an opening up here at the school. I applied for the job and got to set the program up, and then taught it for 6 years. So I was very fortunate to do that, because I've met a lot of really good friends here. And one that I haven't saw since then is Alan, sitting over there. He's the first one that invited me to come back up here. So Alan, his stepdad, and I were friends for a long time. Ken Visage was chief investigator for Ralph Jones in the Sheriff's Department. I began my Veterans Organization service here. Back in 1978, 79, and 80, I was a member of the American Legion post here. And in 82, I was the post commander. So I'm happy to see that they're well represented, even though they have a new post number now, I believe. But it looks like it's a growing and flourishing post, and I'm glad to see that, because I have been a member of the American Legion ever since 1980 and 82. Went through all the chairs in Alabama, from post commander all the way through department commander. And that took some 8 years just to go through the chairs. So I feel real good about the veteran service, and I'm still a life member of several veteran organizations, including the VFW, Military Order of the Purple Heart, the DAV, 101st Airborne Division Association, 82nd Airborne Division Association, 1st Cavalry Division Association. While I was an instructor up here at the school, I wrote my manuscript for the first book that I have authored, and it was entitled Vietnam, What a Soldier Gives. I was getting encouragement from then Secretary of State of Georgia, Max Cleland. And Max encouraged me to write the book. He said there's 3 million people served in Vietnam, and there's 3 million stories that can be told about that. So I didn't know how to even start on writing a book. I never had even thought about it. And so he said, just write the book like you talk. Simple, country, and straightforward, conversational style. So when I would write about 100 pages, I'd let him read them, and he kept encouraging me. You're on the right track, he'd say. Some 12 months, 1,200 pages later, longhand, freehand, I had the manuscript. So then I started downsizing it and got it typed, and Pat proofreading, and various other ones proofreading it. The Somerville News was very instrumental in getting me published, and I'm very grateful for them. I began going to various places, signing the books and all, and it was in every convenience store you can think of in all these counties around here. I received a direct contract from AFES, which was almost unheard of. They sent me nationwide signing the books, and it took some 2 years to go to every one of their outlets signing the books and all. The book wound up on the New York Times bestsellers list, and it stayed there for several weeks. And now I'm the author of 4 books. I did a book of poems because people kept sending me poems and letters, and I wanted to do something with them other than answer them and file them away. So I took 100 of them to the publishers and talked them into putting them into a book entitled Inner Thoughts, and they put them in alphabetical order, a poem on each page. The 3rd book, I started writing about other people's stories. I wrote a book entitled Definition of a Hero about a platoon sergeant in Vietnam that I knew that spent 5.5 years in a recon platoon in Vietnam. Why he did that is astounding to me. And then later, 15 years later, I began to think about this promise I had made a long time ago, to write this manuscript, to tell the story about a friend of mine that happened to be my mail carrier when I came back from Vietnam. His name was Arthur P. Tarzan White. Tarzan was a unique type of a guy, and he was an All-American football player at the University of Alabama, All-American guard on the same team that Bear Bryant played on. Tarzan could do calculus in his head. He was one of the smartest guys I have ever met. And he would do trigonometry and stuff like that just for entertainment. Like we play checkers or whatever, he'd do math problems. He went on, he was all-pro rookie for the New York Giants, and then all-pro with them for 3 years, all-pro with Chicago. World War II comes along. He plays football in an expeditionary team for the Army Air Corps, coached by General Nyland, the Hall of Fame coach, or Nealon, ever how you want to pronounce that, from the University of Tennessee. So that's how he spent his war years, and he said, I regret that in a way because I graduated from OCS and I intended to go on and serve my country in the Army Air Corps. After the war, he went back into professional wrestling, which he was doing part-time, and he was the world's champion 3 times. And you probably have seen him, if you're my age, you've probably seen him wrestle at some point or time, especially on television. So I finished that book with Pat's help a year ago. And the University of Alabama at the Bryant Museum has had us down there signing those books every home game. So I'm very honored to have done that. And I think that if he was here now, he might appreciate that. I hope so. I want to tell you just a little bit about my service in Vietnam. I served with the 1st Cavalry Division when I first got there as a recon scout, and we were going on search and destroy missions, and I got wounded after 3 months. While I was in the field hospital, I saw them on television protesting, burning the American flag, and chanting, hell no, if you excuse my language, we won't go. And it inspired me to write a poem, and I wrote that poem, What a Soldier Gives, while there in the field hospital. And the doctors and friends of mine and all started sending it around, and the Stars and Stripes printed it. And little did I know that years later, I would see people that still had that poem or knew about that poem. So I volunteered and went back to the field, and the 101st Airborne Division took over the AO from the 1st Cavalry. When they found out I was school trained for recon, they wouldn't let me go. They helped me there with them. And so we were working in the northern I-Corps, A Shaw Valley, Ho Chi Minh trails over there near Laos. And then in '69, I went down, I received orders and went down into the Delta as a long-range reconnaissance patrol specialist, working off the riverboats and going into Cambodia for what was then, we didn't know then, but it was the pre-invasion of Cambodia that was logging down the information on. I was lucky enough to be placed in the 1st Combat Battalion to be withdrawn from Vietnam. President Nixon ordered the 3rd of the 60th Infantry, the 9th Infantry Division, to return to Fort Lewis, Washington. So they took everybody that had less than 2 weeks left and put them in this battalion, and everyone in that battalion that had more than 2 weeks left, they put them back out into the division. And they brought us home in C-141 Air Force jets, 814 of us. We had a parade down through Seattle, and General Westmoreland was Chief Staff of the Army at that time, and he came and with his staff and led that parade for 12 blocks down through Seattle in 1969. And for all of you people that's my age and now, you can remember what time of how the country was divided at that time, probably even more than it is today. They were protesters, had signs up calling us baby killers, rapists, and said, "You're not welcome here, go back," throwing eggs, tomatoes into this formation, and it was terrible. When they carried us back to the post, dressed us up in Class A uniforms and paid us, I bought me a ticket on a Trailway bus from Tacoma, Washington, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Took 5 days and nights, and I wanted that time to clear my headspace, and I call it my headspace, clear my mind and get me reoriented back to being a civilian. I never have regretted serving my country, and I would do it again today if I was young enough. And I want to say to the ROTC cadets that's here today, how good you make me, how honorable it makes me feel that you are serving our country and that you are building the platform that you will need to protect this country. And it makes me feel real good to see you wearing that uniform. I wish you all very much success, and you're exactly what this country needs at this day and time, I believe. I'd like to close by telling you, I'll recite that poem that I wrote back then, and it's sort of hardcore, and some people say, "Do you still feel that way today?" I said, if they do, then I do. If they feel the way they did protesting us when we came home, then I feel the way I did when I wrote the poem. Take a man and put him alone. Put him 13,000 miles away from home. Drain his heart of all but blood, then make him live in slime, shame, and mud. It's the life we had to live, and why my soul to God I give. You peace boys talk from your easy chairs, but you don't know what it's like out there. You say you want to ban the bomb, and there's no war in Vietnam. Well, I'll hate you till the day I die, for you made me hear my buddies cry. I saw one's arm a bloody shred, I heard him say this one's dead. My own leg's hurting awfully bad, and still today I'm very sad that he bought your life by giving his. But who gives a damn what a soldier gives? You've never lived until you've almost died. And for those who have fought for it, life has a flavor the protected will never know. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and it's been my honor to speak to you today. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Lieutenant Colonel Hartline. Please be seated. At this time, we would like to recognize all of our active and retired military. If you are active retired military, please stand so we can recognize you at this time. Thank you all for your service. A big thank you to Cecilia Westbrook for organizing today's events, our elected officials, H&R Sanitation, our local American Legion, LaFayette High School and JROTC, and the Lafayette Women's Club. We will conclude today's program with a tribute to the armed services by the Lafayette High School Del Rey Migos. We ask that you stand when your branch is recognized. But first, we are going to hear from Principal Maggie Stoltz here at Lafayette High School. She has a few words to share with you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming out. With everything going on in this world, at least God gave us some good weather this morning and some good sunshine. So hopefully that will be something to warm your soul. Mr. Damon Raines, our superintendent, was here earlier. He had to step away. So again, he wanted me to tell you how proud he is, and he is very grateful for all of the support that y'all give us, and also to pass along his thanks for your service to our community, our country, from him and also from our Walker County School Board members. Several years ago, we've been doing this program. I've been at LaFayette High School since 2012. Somebody gave a quote one time, and it just really, really sat with me. And it's sometimes I say this when I'm talking to my kids. The quote is, "Only two defining forces has ever offered to die for you. That would be Jesus Christ and the American soldier. One died for your soul, and the other died for your freedom." Once again, it is an honor. I am a daughter of a father that served. And it is always a special time for us to honor the service and sacrifices that you have made for your country, but also to give back. I am so proud of the JROTC program here under the leadership of Colonel Steve Hammerstone and First Sergeant David Tomlinson that are located over here to your left, to my right. I am always loved the cadets dress-up day. That is the traditional Thursday that they wear their uniforms. They just walk with a different set of pride. Their shoulders are taller, their head is back, because they are honored to continue the services that y'all provide. So once again, on behalf of Lafayette High School and the city of Lafayette and Walker County, thank you again for your service, and we so appreciate what you have given in your sacrifices to us. So at this time, the chorus can come up.
Spread out a little bit. Come on up. Take your masks off.
The United States Army.
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail as those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter march and right about as those caissons go rolling along. Then it's high, high, he in the field artillery. Shout out your numbers loud and strong. 2, 3, 4, hut, 2, 3. For wherever you go, you will always know that those caissons go rolling along.
The United States Marines.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
United States Coast Guard.
We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in Thee. Through howling gale and shot and shell, to win the victory. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. I, Coast Guard, we fight for you.
United States Navy.
Anchors aweigh, my boys, anchors aweigh. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night on shore, hail to the foe. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
The United States Air Force.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adam boys, give her the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one terrible roar. We live in fame, or go down in flames, for nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force. America, America, God shed His grace on thee. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. America,
We want to thank you all for coming. That concludes our program this year. Thank you all for your service and for being here. If you are comfortable standing close together, we are going to take a group photo right in front of the sign. So we're going to do photos now, otherwise you're dismissed. Thank you, guys.